You're tuned in to the English Up Podcast.
Brought to you by the Speak English with Us.
Imagine opening Slack first thing in the morning and bam, you've got a flood of messages. Someone's asking which version of the file to use. Another person's waiting on a quick approval. And then there's that just checking in comment that pops up again, even though you already replied.
Exactly. You're busy, the team's busy, but everything feels stuck behind this invisible wall. Everyone's waiting on someone else to clarify, to decide, or just to move the conversation forward.
This episode is perfect for intermediate learners right around B1 level. Beginners can tune in too and follow along.
And here's the thing, this constant waiting and explaining slows real progress to a crawl. It's not that no one's working, it's just that too much time gets wasted on clarifying, confirming, and following up.
So the big question is, why does this happen so often, especially in remote teams communicating through chat threads?
And more importantly, how do you fix it without sending 10 more messages or endless meetings? We found a simple system that cuts through this fog.
It's called the 3-line update. Just 3 lines to keep everyone clear and aligned. 1 line to say what you've done so far. 1 line to clarify any blockers or questions. And 1 line to say exactly who needs to do what and by when.
And bonus points if you add a quick summary sentence after every discussion like who's responsible, deadlines, and next check-ins so no one's left guessing.
Quick question. How many unread messages do you usually see first thing at work? 10? 20? More? Take 3 seconds and think about it.
Bet that number surprises you every time.
Stick with us till the end for our word tour. We'll break down 5 key phrases, like align, clarify, and follow up, that you'll hear a lot in remote team conversations.
Also, I'm guessing many of you are listening while checking your own notifications, or maybe secretly hoping your team actually uses this 3-line update already.
Yeah, I might be guilty of that too. And later, we'll share one tiny trick to help you get this started on your team, no pressure. Just real results.
But first, let's dive into why teams lose momentum in chat threads and why it's not just about being slow or unmotivated.
Picture this. It's 9,007 a.m. and your team chat already looks like a small storm. One person says, "Are we aligned on the deck?" Another asks for a cleaner version of the doc, and someone else says, "Just checking in on the timeline."
And the funny part is, nobody's rude. Nobody's lazy. It just turns into this long chain of tiny questions, and the real work gets buried under the noise.
Right. And that's where the reduced uncertainty effect starts to show up. When people don't know what's happening, they keep asking, keep following up, and keep trying to clarify the same thing from 3 different angles.
Exactly. The brain hates loose ends. If the goal, the owner, or the deadline feels fuzzy, people don't relax. They loop back. They ask again because the message still doesn't feel complete.
So the problem isn't just too many messages. It's that the messages don't align around one clear outcome.
And that's why chat thread can look active while progress stays flat. Everyone's talking, but the team still can't move the needle.
Let's make it real. Imagine a design team working on a landing page. The copy is waiting, the visual draft is almost done, and the manager wants an update before lunch. One person says, "I've got it mostly ready." Another says, "Which version?" Then a third person asks, "Can you keep me in the loop?"
I've done that. I've sent 5 messages and still sounded like I was missing the point. It's embarrassing, but it happens fast when the thread has no structure.
That's why the 3-line update works. Line 1, what's done? Line 2, what's blocking you? Line 3, what you need, from whom, and by when. No drama. Just clarity.
Let's practice with a simple example. Say the update is about a client deck. You could write, draft is 80% finished, waiting on final numbers from finance. Need Alex to confirm by 3 p.m.
That's it. Short, useful, and no one has to play detective.
And if someone still asks for more detail, you don't restart the whole story. You just clarify the one missing piece. That's a big difference.
Here's a second scenario. Your teammate is on vacation, but they still want to stay in the loop. Instead of sending random FYI messages all day, you can say, quick update, the draft is live, the blocker is legal review, I'll follow up at 4 and send the final note after.
That message does so much work. It keeps people informed without turning your chat into a group diary.
And this is where the structure matters. If every update follows the same shape, people know where to look first. They don't waste energy hunting for the point.
Which is why remote teams don't need more messages. They need better messages.
Exactly. More messages can even make things worse if they're scattered. A clean format lowers uncertainty, and when uncertainty drops, momentum comes back.
And by the way, there is a phrase for this. It's called align. We'll break that down later, along with the other 4 expressions.
For now, just remember this. If your thread feels messy, the answer probably isn't send again. It's say it once, say it clearly, and make the next step obvious.
That one shift can save a team hours of back and forth every week. And honestly, that's a real win.
So here's the next question. If the 3-line update is so clean, why don't teams use it all the time?
Because people think chat should be flexible. They think, I'll just give a quick note. And then the note turns into 5 messages, 2 side questions, and 1 missing file.
And that's exactly where people get tired. Not because the work is hard, but because the thread keeps reopening the same uncertainty.
Sure, but I'm going to push back a bit. Sometimes the messy thread is actually useful. If you force everything into 3 lines, don't you lose nuance? Real projects are messy, and the updates can't always be neat.
I disagree with that, at least partly. Nuance matters, yes, but most threads aren't being held back by nuance. They're being held back by vagueness. If the goal is fuzzy, the update isn't rich, it's just unclear.
But hold on. What if the person updating doesn't know enough yet? Maybe they're waiting on another team. In that case, a hard format could feel fake, like you're pretending the answer is complete when it isn't.
That's a fair concern. But the format doesn't ask for fake certainty. It asks you to clarify what's known, name the blocker, and make the next step visible. That's not pretending. That's reducing noise.
Okay, but I still think some teams use too much process. They align on a template, sure, but then everyone spends time polishing the template instead of doing the work. That can become a little theatrical.
I get that. But the point isn't to write a beautiful update. The point is to move the needle on coordination. If the format saves 10 people from asking the same question twice, that's not theater. That's efficiency.
Let me challenge that with a real case. Imagine product, engineering, and marketing all need to launch a feature. Product says the copy isn't ready. Engineering says the build is done. And marketing wants a date. If everyone writes a 3-line update, what happens when the date is still uncertain?
Then the update says exactly that. Build is done. Copy is pending. Launch date depends on final approval Friday. The uncertainty stays, but it's visible. Nobody has to guess.
So the value isn't that the problem disappears. It's that everyone can see the shape of the problem at once.
Exactly. And once people can see the shape, they can align faster. They know who owns what, what's blocking progress, and what needs a decision.
But what about the people who keep asking for updates anyway? Some managers don't read carefully. They ask again, any news? Even after the answer is there.
True, but that usually means the first message wasn't easy enough to scan. A good update isn't just accurate, it's fast to understand. If a manager can't find the key point in 5 seconds, they'll follow up again.
So maybe the real skill is not write more. It's write so clearly that the next follow-up becomes unnecessary.
Yes, and that's where the cognitive side matters. There's a real concept here called the reduced uncertainty effect. When the brain has less ambiguity, it calms down and stops hunting for more information.
So basically, the thread isn't just annoying, it's activating people's uncertainty, and that makes them keep checking.
Exactly. And if you keep someone in the loop with a short, stable format, their brain doesn't need to keep reopening the loop. That's why the same team can feel calmer, even if the workload hasn't changed.
I'll give you one more challenge. Isn't there a risk that keep someone in the loop becomes a polite way to send too many updates? People can drown in information just as easily as they can drown in silence.
Absolutely. And that's why the rule has to include a filter. Don't send everything. Send the update that changes someone's next decision. If nothing has changed, you don't need a full announcement.
That's a strong point. So the update should earn its place in the thread.
Yes. If it doesn't clarify a decision, remove a blocker, or help someone move forward, it probably doesn't belong there.
Let's make this even more practical. Suppose you're the project lead and you need legal approval. Instead of writing, any update? Just checking in again, you write, draft is ready, legal review is the blocker, and I need a decision by 2 p.m. so we can keep the launch on track.
That message has direction. It tells people what's done, what's missing, and what happens next. No confusion, no scavenger hunt.
And if the answer is still no, you follow up with purpose, not panic. That's a huge difference.
Right. Because follow-up isn't the same as repeating yourself. It's continuing the conversation with a clearer target.
So the real argument here is not structure versus freedom. It's structure that helps people act versus noise that makes them stall.
Exactly. And if a team says, we're too busy for structure, they're often the team that needs it most.
Fair enough. I've definitely been that person who sent a vague message, then spent the next hour explaining it in 3 extra messages. Not my proudest habit.
Same here, honestly. And that's why a simple pattern can feel almost unfairly powerful. It saves energy, time, and a little bit of pride.
So the debate ends here. Yes, nuance matters, but clarity wins when the goal is action.
And that's the bridge to our next part, because now we've got the ideas in place. Next, we'll break down the exact phrases and how to use them naturally. So we've seen the problem, the pattern, and the debate. And now it's time to turn those ideas into language you can actually use.
Right. In the word tour, we'll unpack the 5 key phrases from today's episode: align, clarify, follow up, keep someone in the loop, and move the needle.
These aren't just vocabulary words, they're the exact tools that make remote updates cleaner and faster.
Let's break them down and make them stick.
So, we've been using some key phrases throughout this episode, but let's slow down and look at them more closely. First up, there's align.
Yeah, align basically means to agree on the same goal or plan. Like when everyone on a team looks at the project and says, "We're on the same page."
Right. And that's so important in remote work, isn't it? Because if people aren't aligned, you get all those extra messages correcting each other.
Exactly. Imagine a group planning a launch, but the marketing team thinks the deadline is tomorrow, while the engineers believe it's next week. No alignment means more confusion, delays, and wasted effort.
And a quick way to check alignments is with a simple update. We are aligned on finishing the draft by Friday. That puts everyone on track.
Then there's clarify. It means to make something easier to understand. So when the project's details get fuzzy, you ask questions or rewrite parts to clear things up.
Oh, yes. Like when someone says, "Can you clarify what you mean by final draft?" That helps remove any guesswork.
If the message isn't clear, people assume, and that's where mistakes happen. So clarifying early saves time and headaches later.
Next up is follow-up. This is about checking again or continuing a conversation after the first message.
Right, and it's a skill. Following up isn't pestering, it's making sure things keep moving if you haven't had an answer yet.
Like saying, "Just following up. Did you get a chance to review the document?" It reminds the other person without sounding pushy.
I've probably overdone follow-ups in the past, but done right, they keep the momentum going.
True. Now, keep someone in the loop is a phrase that means to give someone the latest information so they're not out of the conversation.
That phrase is so common in remote teams because usually not everyone is involved in every chat. You want to keep your manager or a teammate in the loop so they don't miss important updates.
For example, saying, "I'm keeping Jenna in the loop on the contract changes," means Jenna's informed without needing to read every message.
And finally, move the needle. This one means to make a real and noticeable difference on a project or goal.
I love this phrase because it's all about impact. Sending messages might feel like action, but only those that actually shift progress move the needle.
Exactly. An update that just repeats what's known doesn't move the needle. One that clearly states the next step or decision does.
So instead of saying, "We talked about timelines," you say, "We agreed to finalize timelines by Tuesday," and that moves the needle.
Putting it all together, these phrases help remote teams stay connected, reduce confusion, and actually get work done faster.
And the great thing is, you're probably already using some of them. Now it's about using them with more intent.
Like when you write updates, ask yourself, am I aligning the team? Am I clarifying? Do I need to follow up? Who should I keep in the loop? And am I moving the needle forward?
That's a fantastic checklist. These phrases aren't just vocabulary, they're real tools to make your work smoother every day.
And the more you use them naturally, the more your team starts to feel that momentum again.
Plus, they sound pretty professional, right? I mean, you can impress your boss with "we're aligned." Way cooler than just saying "we agreed."
That's so true. And it's easy to slip these phrases into emails, meetings, or chat without making it sound forced.
Now just imagine how much time you'll save by clarifying early and following up smartly.
Less confusion, fewer messages, faster decisions. That's the power of these expressions in action.
So next time you write an update or answer a message, try using one or two of these words. See how it changes the flow.
And keep practicing. Language is a tool, and when you use the right tool, even remote teamwork becomes easier.
That wraps up our word tour. Hopefully, these 5 phrases will help you speak clearly and move projects forward faster. So, to wrap things up, today we dug into why remote teams often lose momentum in chat threads. We saw how unclear messages create extra work like endless follow-ups and confusion about who's doing what and when.
Right. And the key message is not to send more messages, but to send better messages. Using the 3-line update method really helps stating what's done, what's blocking progress, and what's needed next.
To make this work for you, try these 3 practical tips. First, keep your updates concise but clear. Second, name the blocker explicitly so everyone knows what's holding things up. And third, always specify who needs to act and by when.
I remember when I started doing this, and honestly, it felt strange at first. But within a week, my team's chat transformed. Fewer repeated questions, faster decisions, and more time spent actually moving the project forward.
That's the magic of clarity. And don't be afraid to introduce the 3-line update as a simple experiment. You can even pick one project to try it on and see how much smoother communication gets.
And beyond updates, remember the set of phrases we covered: align, clarify, follow up, keep someone in the loop, and move the needle. Using them naturally in your conversations builds trust and keeps everyone focused on the goal.
We hope you'll give these ideas a try. Little changes in how you communicate can make a huge difference when you work remotely.
Next time, we'll dive deeper into tools that help teams stay connected, like better use of Slack and Trello, and how to automate those updates without losing the human touch.
Before you go, we want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, what's one change you can make in your team's chat to move things forward faster?
We read every single comment, and we love hearing your stories. Thanks so much for listening, and see you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Bye for now.